Hello everyone. So this is my new video. As I mentioned in the previous uh, video that I will be talking about I am the seed of creation, or uh, you can call it the tree of knowledge if you want. Uh, the thing is, when we talk about God, we see him in a particular image according to our conditioning. Like a Buddhist will see him in the form of Buddha, a Hindu will see God in numerous forms, uh, and the same way, you know, someone who is from Taoism, he will, or Buddha, I mean, you can say something like Confucianism, or uh, maybe other religions. Now they have a concept of self, uh, but it doesn't mean that you are an atheist. Um now, a Muslim or uh, a Christian and a Jew will see God uh, in you know in this image of a masculine figure uh, who has authority over them, and they might have this fear as well, that this God can be uh, angry, and he can uh, be like their father. At the same time, they for example, Christians believe in the concept of Trinity, but Muslims don't. They believe in oneness. Uh, Jews also believe in oneness. Now, what I'm trying to say is that we all see God according to our conditioning, or the reverence we have. Uh, Someone who, let's say, is a Sufi, or a student of Sufism, he will have deep love for his master, spiritual teacher, or murshid, and he will see God in him. He will worship him, which is something that the mainstream religion will consider as blasphemy or shirk. But what's happening is that he is seeing him as an avatar, and initially he will not be able to grasp that, but because uh, of his obedience, it will grow on him, and the more he is close to that person, he he will be able to see things clearly. For example, one has concept that if I prostrate in front of someone, if I am in need or I'm desperate, I will get what I want. I mean, we are willing to do that to somebody who we don't even know because we need money or whatever. But when you go to somebody who is a religious figure, we haven't been initiated. Now we go to that person, and that person tells us that you have to follow this. He doesn't want you to worship him. Just like God doesn't have a need to be worshipped. He's not dependent on us being, he actually uh, wants us to worship him for our own benefit. So there's a difference. A person who, like I said, Pharaoh, uh, believed that he is God. He did not have the knowledge. He did not attain it spiritually. He he may have been gifted, uh, but it was his ego that caused the downfall because of his pride. Just like Satan was closest to God, and from an archangel, he was uh, thrown down in hell, and how things happen we all know. But what I'm trying to say is that God, to me, I mean, I don't want to impose my opinion by saying that I'm right, but of course, I am mm, not a realized person. I don't even consider myself human because I feel that being human means to be godlike, to realize God within you. Somebody who knows his soul. To know your soul means to know God, and that is the whole journey. Uh, it is. It seems so simple, but it's probably the most difficult thing uh, because it's like it's very tempting to go to a guru because somewhere we feel special and we want to attain bliss, and we want to be liberated from the pain of responsibilities, you know uh, but the moment we are tested. For example, you go to a teacher, and initially you will be feeling great, but when he tests you by saying that do this particular thing, and you don't do that. For example, God has told us not to lie, not to cheat, not to hurt anyone, uh, you know, not to do anything evil, but we do that. Some people perform little sins, and some are performing really evil acts, and because they don't have any fear, they don't have a conscience, but their soul knows what they are doing, and they will face the consequences for that. So being a believer, uh, it is important to doubt, to question, to reason, but you have to draw a line because it can lead to madness. If you don't practice religion, if you don't actually obey God, you and you just keep on thinking about something. This is where a teacher comes in, because he is transferring his knowledge uh, to the student. The more he who obeys, because he has to earn that. There there is unconditional love. At the same time, there is a wisdom. He is not granting you free knowledge. He has uh, tied a cord which demands that you will use that for a certain reason. Just like a father loves his child, but he, being a responsible parent, he will give a certain amount of money to his child, uh, you know so that uh, he spends it wisely. But if he will not uh, do do that, he will uh, s- you know ask him to give the money back, or he will stop paying him. So this is the economic system of God, where there is constant accountability going on. We can call it karma, we can call it whatever we want, but uh, this is the something that we need to understand, that it's very subtle. And just like we are, there is positive and negative energy within us that creates electricity to sustain us. uh, the same way, there is this system within the macrocosm, like I mentioned. So speaking of I am, when there was nothing, only truth, self, God existed, the one who has no name. We are describing that nothingness, right? Uh, so we we only have a concept. We haven't realized him. We have, again, this is also an image of nothingness or oneness, or anything. Jesus Christ, you can imagine God, like, in the form of Christ. The point is, now, how did God create the universe? They say that God was in complete darkness, and he had a desire to be known, and uh, he had a vision uh, of of his creation, of being created, of being manifested in a, now he when he's said be, or kun fire kun, the word be, and there it was, it's written in the Quran. Of course, this is something that is described. It, I'm sure it's symbolic. It's all happening through an intent. Now, uh, in that moment when he is saying, or he demanded, you know, the that idea he had, uh, it it took form. That is the seed of creation. I am. Basically, God is saying, I am, and that seed creates. They say the tree is in the seed. Now, in that seed, uh, the entire uh, the true image of God exists. The entire cosmos, all the destinies of people, everything uh, is in that you can say, like it's like a disc that contains the whole film. uh, Now that seed is planted, and it is growing, and uh, it becomes a tree of knowledge. That that knowledge is what the knowledge of God. It's evolving. That organism is evolving, like just like a child is born out of nothing. He is born from dust, or now the child is in before his birth. He is just an embryo that turns into fetus, and then it becomes a baby. It is born, then it grows, and eventually it becomes a man, and his journey continues. The man becomes uh, an elder or an old person, and eventually there is death. But even after death, uh, the life of that soul continues. So the creator has always been there. He is here and now. Everything is happening in the now. We are in time and space because we need that to function. uh, even even the creation is, you can call it time and space, a higher level of time and space, because some it is existing, uh, you know the right. It's something that is not original. You can say it's not all. It has not always been there. You can talk about original sin or immaculate conception, which is another topic. But what I'm trying to say here is that I am is our is the knowledge that gives birth to consciousness. And when one meditates and focuses on on I am, you can actually feel that, connection with the source. And if you go deeper, if your intention, the more your intention is pure, you will be able to realize that you don't exist as this person. Just like this is a character, this is a body, uh, and you are a soul. Now, what is a soul? Soul is also an entity, uh, but it is a part of the whole being, like a cell in a body. It considers itself separate from its mass, from it, uh, if it considers itself separate, it will believe that it isn't, independent. But actually, the cell is dependent on the body. The same way, we are dependent on God, right? This, I mean, we are dependent on the macrocosm, the universe, or the body of God. Uh, God has always been there. The Holy Spirit uh, is eternal and self-sufficient. But the moment it has manifested itself as light, now God is beyond light and darkness, right? God is infinite. He has no name or image. He Because that confines truth. Truth is limitless. But for anything to exist, there has to be a form. For anything to be perceived, it has to have certain limitations. So it's beautiful when you think about it, that we are so absorbed in our own, uh, you know in our petty life. We're thinking about what's happening in the world, and we are thinking about ourselves, our problems that don't matter compared to what actually exists. I mean, yes, if you if you are focusing on your responsibilities and all, yes, those things do matter. But if someone, again, there's a difference between someone who has faith and somebody who is just surviving. Person who has faith in God, he's not a saint, but his his faith will help him cope with those issues, because his direction is, towards, he has directed himself towards God. uh, and a person who is a sinner like me, he will be consumed by negative thoughts, or thoughts about the world, and he will be talking about God on YouTube, but he doesn't know anything, because what you know will always be embodied in your character. It is always displayed through your actions. Actions speak louder than words, they say. So uh, yeah, I mean, again, when we talk about this manifestation of God, uh, in reality nothing exists, nothing, but it is God's conviction that has given birth to everything. Now, who is the perceiver? The self is perceiving itself. The self is perceiving itself. But at an individual level, it is in a sort of amnesia. You are remembering your original state, right? When people follow the spiritual path, when they are inspired by God, because God uh, is the one who pulls you towards Him, and He is the one who humbles the believer. He turns a sinner into a saint, or vice versa. I mean, we have to acknowledge this thing. Uh, we can only debate intellectually to some extent, but they one has to draw a line, because otherwise it's like, you're trying to fit God into an equation. And scientists can debate about it for uh, you know eternity, and they will never be satisfied, because they don't want to believe. They just want to uh, argue and create this idea that fits their reality. They are talking about the same thing, but in their own language. The difference is that there is no connection. I mean, you can talk about quantum mechanics, right? Uh, and you can speak about uh, multiverse and time travel and all these things. But they all, you can call it consciousness if you want to, but they, what is that? We're not going to the root. We are just talking about things that are created. I mean, it's like talking about a body, but not understanding the soul. If a doctor is studying the brain, he will not believe in the mind. He will say that uh, this body is being run by the electricity generated by the brain, and that is creating that person's uh, consciousness, this reality, and he is perceiving himself because of the programming that he has had since he was a child. He can say that information has been transferred from genes. So they are finding things logically, something that they have a proof of. But somebody who truly understands medicine will realize that the body cannot function without spirit. Just like matter and spirit, these two elements, they are connected. Uh, they complement each other. Matter is the vehicle, and the soul is, you can say, the fuel, you know, um, or the driver. Now, uh, in Taoism or Buddhism, we call it yin and yang, right? So now, speaking of the the consciousness, right? What we must understand here is that God is uh, manifesting Himself, uh, you know, as spirit, and the the universe or macrocosm, his body, is functioning through the Holy Spirit, right? I mean, what is the spirit? It is nothing but that eternal uh, consciousness, and we cannot understand, where that comes from and how that exists, because it is there. It is there, right? It's like uh, you accept that the air is there, but you cannot see it. You can feel it. But a person accepts. He doesn't even think about it. It's so uh, it's obvious, yet he doesn't have the knowledge that where does air come from. But he knows that the air is there, and he accepts the sky as it is, but he also knows that it is an illusion. uh, the space is what is creating that illusion, right? uh, that's aesthetics. the space the space is that vast uh, area where there is no gravity, yet there is a force, that is uh, maneuvering, controlling all the planets. So so that is what I'm trying to speak about over here, that how uh, the concept of uh, God being a person is something that is common in Orthodox Christianity. I don't know about other religions, but uh, to my understanding, uh, it is something that I feel that other spiritual, for example, Sufism might be talking about the same thing in another way. You know, so truth is one, but it is explained in in different languages. You cannot create your own truth. You can't say that, oh, okay, uh, it is one and two and three. Originally, I mean, I mean, it's like a puzzle. Every person is every spiritual master or prophet who has come, they have attained knowledge from somewhere. Now Hindus believe in the Vedas and Gita. They That is ancient knowledge. They received the knowledge which has so much allegory in it, symbolism in it, but people, due to their ignorance, have hold on to those symbols. They have taken the words literally. Less like every pe- people in the majority of people in that follow other religions. They That's what has led to the problems. Like, we haven't tried to understand who we are, and what reality is. Uh, so the knowledge is there. So you can't say that a Buddhist is wrong, or a Hindu is wrong, or Christian is no. Everybody is uh, talking about the same thing in their own way. uh, it's just a matter of understanding it. So again, this is something that is, it's like an ocean. The more you go deeper, you realize there is no end, and that's the beauty of it. So I'm going to end it here. I just spoke my mind, just was wanted to uh, share. And if you're watching, do give me your feedback. uh, Thank you for listening, and take care.